Every year there is the USA Open Polo Championship happening.
I just want to bluff. I want to bluff Rob, the young man.
Mystery hand here for Esti Wang being blocked out from view.
King 6 suited is one of those hands that solvers like to get involved with.
Five became 17, and now all of a sudden a 4-bet out of Jungle.
Yeah, King 6 suited is
Play the rush jungle.
like kind of like the Ace 5 suited. You know, they got that big little. Also, sometimes wheel comes out on board textures where you can really win a huge pot holding the 6. Ideally, you want folds. They start this hand 200 big blinds deep. So ST has got a lot of stack to play for, and whether he's got a hand or not, he's got position.
Well, whatever ST has got in there, it isn't done yet. He makes the call, and we're going to play for over 100,000 pre-flop. Jungle going to have to navigate out of position. King, Queen, 4. Top pair for him on a 2-heart board.
Very good texture for him. Especially with the queen out there. There are hands that ST calls a 4-bet with that can pay off. Could be like Queen Jack suited, could be Ace Queen, could be some Ace Jack, Jack 10s. There are hands that Jungle loses to as well. I think he's going to feel all right at the moment, but he's not looking to go for 3 streets. He's keeping it small right now. Quarter pot on the flop, got called, turns to 7. I kind of feel you want to slow down a lot of times with King 6. You've got a lot of kings in your range, and you want to check the weaker ones.
He agrees. Very draw-heavy texture, although some of the hands that interact in the form of a draw, we will begin to question just based on the pre-flop 4-bet factor.
Because of the pre-flop 4-bet factor, the stack-to-pot ratio has shrunk a lot. So if ST has a really big draw, he might not actually bet just because he doesn't want to bet get check jammed on. But the weaker draws he might want to stab with. Of course, if he actually has a big hand, like King Queen, set of queens, then he'd want to build the pot right now.
How big is he going to go? 65,000.
This price is pretty comfy for Jungleman to check call. Like I said, they were very deep pre. ST's got more than really big holdings. He's got to keep them honest right now. There's about a pot size remaining.
130 more into the middle. 8 of diamonds doesn't rate to change things.
No, the main texture on that he loses to is about that flop. Those king and queen cards are very important. ST can even have a better king right now. It's very possible. It could even be ace king.
All in the declaration from ST, and if you had to put him on a hand as played, Randy, what does it feel like to you?
It feels like to me king queen is a big one.
Okay.
King queen suited.
2-pair plus?
ST, so lucky.
I think he can have ace king.
Maybe a bit lucky.
So that's the only single pair that comes to mind for me.
Jungle hates this situation that he's found himself in.
Bluffs is like ace jack, ace 10, jack 10. ST should never have like king jack, king 10, I would think. So for jungle, the only better king he's worried about is ace king. But king queen suited is possible. Queens, I see it. Even a little bit of kings is.
Got ace king ST. Actually, I don't think you have ace king. Let's see, 1.5. I have aces.
You might want to look back at your hand there, Jungle.
You can have aces. You can have king queen. And have queens or kings. 5, 6 of hearts, I guess. 4 plus 4. 6 plus 3 plus. Oh, does have king queen offsuit sometimes. Maybe half of those. King queen is.
Jungle going through all of the combos, but
Yeah,
unclear whether or not this $270,000 he has in front of him
1.5 times
would be
2.
doubling up
6
and then
plus
some,
6.
or
Less than that.
getting showered.
Plus 3. This one's better hand. This one. This one sure is better.
GTO working.
The hamster's definitely on the wheel.
3 plus 4.
What's bottom of range in your mind, Randy, as we see Jungle shredding through the time banks?
2, 1.
Bottom of range for what? For ST or?
Yeah.
In terms of value, it's ace king.
Are there bluffs?
They do exist, and the thing is, Dan Cates doesn't block the bluffs. No hearts in hand, no jack or 10. So in theory,
Ace X flush draws, I guess.
king 6 is a good bluff candidate in terms of bluff catching.
Well, that's why Jungle's chewing on it as hard as he is.
2, 4, I'm not so sure. How many have I used? 2 more. 2 more? Yeah.
The struggle is real.
You feel it. Look at all those time banks used.
I'd rather burn all my time banks than my chips. Although it's unclear whether or not King 6 is a winner. Not impossible that it is.
Not impossible. Extremely tough spot. He's trying to figure out all the combos of hands he loses to. Is this the right hand to call with? He's out.
Lays it down, and he was up against aces.
Means I'm so lucky.
Bluff?
Did you consider that as one of the possibilities, Randy?
Yeah?
It did cross my mind. Also crossed Jungle's mind. Ace of Hearts was a nice card to show.
Busted
I
flush.
randomize.
Oh my God. Ace 10.
No. You haven't ace.
Ace 10 of hearts.
Aces for Andy. And we're going to block out Rob's cards here as he flats the 5K. Ton stuck around with this 10-5 suited as well. 3 ways, 17,000 in the middle. Jack 8-4. 2 clubs and 2 checks in front of us.
Well, hands that flat from the small blind actually don't mind this kind of texture. They have a lot of Jack X. They've got pocket pairs. Andy trying to get some action as he bets and gets called. Queen on the turn. Rob is he's taking the lead.
This is an interesting sort of breaking with convention response here.
Yeah, it's very unconventional, especially lead on the queen, which overcards. Gets called into Jack now.
Board pairing development. So again, this one was 5K from Andy. Defense out of both blinds. A check call of 10,000 by Rob, and then the lead for 26. Bringing us to this point with 89,000 in the middle.
So I actually don't expect Rob to ever have a naked Jack because you wouldn't lead when an overcard comes.
No, you're right, and that's a little bit of a problem for him as he barrels this river for 85,000, as it skews him more towards some Queen X. Or perhaps the 9-10, although why would the 9-10 fire and risk just getting a hand that might follow through with a bluff on the turn?
I don't think this is ever a Queen X because the Queen X, if it was leading the turn, I don't think it would go pot size on the Jack because the Jack would definitely be more in Andy's range now with the action. So what Rob's representing in terms of value is Queen Jack, so a full house.
Okay.
Sets that feels it's going to get checked through too much on that turn card, and 10-9. If he's bluffing, most likely it's clubs. Andy's very confused though with this line. He might be thinking, look, if you had a set, if you had 10-9, aren't you supposed to check to me? And, you know, give me a chance to put in chips.
There is something that smells off about this.
But is it Rob Young getting tricky with a value hand to try to make it look odd so that he can get more calls?
Right. And we know that he's slippery enough to mix that sort of stuff in there when he is going to down these aces. I think in terms of blockers, too, having the ace of clubs in our hands is bad, right?
Yeah, I agree. Called out King Jack, but I really don't think that's in Rob's range as played with the turn lead.
Like you said, naked Jack doesn't feel like it should be there. Oh, and the aces do concede to Rob, and he had 9-7.
Oh, that hurts.
I'll tell you one thing. showing the bluff is good for the game.
Good for the game.
Well, normally I don't play in games in these type of harder games, right? So I'm normally playing against.
Well,
big
based on that
outs.
last open, with 6-3 suited, this one could be
Big outs.
just about anything for Jungle.
No,
As
but he's not looking at shots.
Rob's in the straddle with King Jack offsuit. This 10K is
He's not
turned
looking at
into
shots, and that sort of
40,
stuff, so we're
courtesy
all
of
off
what else
even-
but
We're all
aces.
off an even thing.
Why doesn't he just start looking at some charts? How hard is it? Why don't you just look at some charts? You know what I mean?
Where would I even get time?
You got time to look at some charts.
You think you make a big difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Will it tell him what to do now? I just look at this and I just auto play it, yeah?
Depends what you have, man.
I had I could have 4-bet with.
You should. Then you should 4-bet it. If the charts would have said a 4-bet, you should 4-bet.
Yeah, no.
Two pros, two wizards.
Oh, well. King Jack went into muck.
This is a Chinese
Yep.
wizard.
Understandably, Rob didn't have an appetite for it at the 40K price point, as he and Jungle chatter away, and TBD whether or not Jungle is performing well with 87,000 in the middle. He did call the extra 30, so presumably we can condense that range down to something toward the upper part of said charts. 32 ahead to the turn, and now a queen. Yielding a Broadway gutty to ST, but a board texture that could present some problems.
Yeah, it's not a good one for ST, especially this deep. Still, he could be best, but the lead could have been taken away from him. Two pairs come in, straights come in. Hands he still beats, of course. King 10, Jack 10, ace queens, things like this.
Pocket jacks, pocket queens involved?
Involved for sure, given
Not so
how
much the
deep they are.
kings, given the flat pre, right?
Yeah, I do think that, yeah, Jungleman's got queens and jacks in his range. King's a little bit less. That's a small bet.
41.
That is a great river card for ST because he counterfeits the two pairs that did get there on the turn.
Yeah, you're right. Some of that which he was concerned about would have been the two pair combos from the Broadway hands. And now he can throw all of that concern out of the window.
I kind of like betting if I'm ST. That 5 is just so nice.
Is the holdup just salesmanship here from ST?
Yeah, he's trying to figure out what is the best price, because you can really play it in many different ways. What he's cutting out right now seems a bit more milky. What is that, 155?
Healthy and not auto-folding is 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿.
So I don't think 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿 is... Let's see. He's never calling worse than at least a king, like a queen X, Jack X. It's not continuing. King Queen, King Jack. They're in a pretty tough spot. Ace 10 and 10 9 would be great for him instead of jacks and queens. I mean, if he does happen to jam, ST is going to throw up.
All in.
Wow. That just sucks.
How much more?
A jam for 280,000, representing an extra 125K. And what is it that we're concerned that we're up against with the aces up in particular?
Well, ace 10, 10 9, jacks, queens.
Would the straights
Still
seek
jam?
to jam here with the pair having arrived against this sizing?
10 9, I don't think so. Ace 10. I mean, I think you're right. I don't think those hands necessarily need to jam. If that's the case, then we're narrowing the value shove range to queens and jacks, right? I wonder if jacks always jams. I think so. This is weird. We are very deep, right, to start this hand, too. I just don't really see how Jungle's bluffing, though. But Jungle is the type of guy who is studied, and he's aware that he's supposed to have a little bit of bluffs in all situations for balance purposes. You can't, if you are bluffing, you want to block with 3 pair, blocking boats.
Chewing hard on this spot and ultimately laying down the 2 aces. And it was jacks full. That was the one that was most probable as a winner against those 2 aces, don't you think?
ชื่อวังครับ
น้องครับ
He doesn't want to see it. He doesn't want to see it.